Discuss the ADAS model now, which adapts the demand and supply diagram to the whole economy, where we know demand is about purchase of goods and supply is about production of goods. Now, in our ADS model, when we look at the x-axis represents output, real GDP or income, where we know where Open's law shows us the empirical inverse relationship between output and unemployment, and the y-axis represents the price level, where we know a higher price level represents inflation. Now let's move on to the components of our ADAS model. Now the ADS model consists of three curves. We will have a downward sloping AD curve given to us as y at AD is equal to consumption plus investment plus government spending plus net exports. We will have a vertical longer and aggregate supply curve at the potential output given to us as y is equal to y star. We will have our upward sloping short and aggregate supply curve whose equation is given to us as output is equal to potential output plus A times the actual price level minus the expected price level. Now, moving on to short-run and long-run equilibrium in our ADS model, the short-run equilibrium is given at the intersection of a downward sloping AD curve and an upward sloping short-run aggregate supply curve. Now, the short-run equilibrium can correspond to three scenarios. You could have a recession where output is less than potential output, so you have a recessionary gap. You could have a boom where output is greater than potential output, so you have an inflationary gap. And you can have a stable economy where output is equal to potential output. So the key here is the short-run equilibrium can result in scenarios where output is below or above the potential output, though in the long run, output will eventually return to the natural level of output or the potential level of output. The long-run equilibrium will be given to us as the intersection of all of our three curves. So it's the point where the short-run aggregate supply curve, long-run aggregate supply curve, and AD curve all intersect. So in the long run, output will always be at potential output, prices will be stable, i.e. prices will be equal to expected price level, and unemployment will be at its natural rate. Now the question arises, how does an economy converge from short-run to long-run equilibrium if you are at a point in the short run where output is not equal to potential output? Because like we discussed, in the short run, you could have a case where output is not equal to potential output. So how do you move from that case to long-run equilibrium? Now, if there's no policy intervention, i.e. the government and central bank do nothing, so then in that case, we have a natural adjustment process whereby expected prices will change, which will shift the short and aggregate supply curve. So in the absence of government intervention, so what causes you to move from short run to long run equilibrium are going to be shifts in short and aggregate supply curve because of change in price expectations. Now, if the government and the central bank intervene, so in that case, it will shift the aggregate demand curve to speed up this adjustment process. And in this case, the short and aggregate supply curve will not shift.